town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. And guess what? We are actually here live in the actual Ghost Biker Garage, where everything started 2 years ago with the Ghost Biker Garage. Excuse me. This is going to actually be the very last episode that takes place from the garage here. I have officially everything other than my motorcycle and a few things that are left are actually loaded up. They're at my new farmhouse, and the realtor comes this week. So, or actually next week. So, yeah, this is what better fitting way than to actually be able to do the podcast from the original garage where everything started, and then be transitioning over to a new location. So it will not be from the new garage just yet because I'm still working on getting everything set up there at the new house. But but it will be from probably the historic Scott County Jail next week and moving forward from the new location. So thank you to everyone who has stuck with us through all of this, and thank you to everyone who's here tonight. So just want to say hello to a few folks over here in the chat room. Good evening to Miss Susan Purcell. Good evening to Janet. Yes, and goodbye to old Ghost Biker Garage. Hello to new. Very, very excited about this. So, so a lot going on. You know, we're wrapping up the month of March, and I can't think of a better guest to have to end Women's History Month than tonight's guest. We love having strong women here on the show, and tonight's is an amazing author that I can't wait to share her story with you guys. We're going to bring her on here in just a few minutes, but leading up to that, kind of want to talk about a few things that have been going on here over the past month. It's been extremely busy at the historic Scott County Jail. We're back to our normal 5 days a week there at the jail, being open every day but Tuesday and Wednesday. So we're excited to be back on track. Tourism season is picking up. A lot of folks have been visiting the jail, taking after dark flashlight tours, guided ghost hunts, and paranormal investigations. I think we got one Saturday open during the month of April, and that's due to a cancellation. Otherwise, that month is booked up. We do have a couple Fridays and Sundays open. So if you have a team and you want to get your investigation in during April, we've got those dates open. We've also got dates open through the remainder of the year. So go check out historicscottcojail.com for those dates and get your team booked and get in there. This past weekend, we're very honored. We've been talking about this for a couple months now, but we were very honored to be a special guest at the Haunting at the Mill Paracon. And if you missed the live that we had out there, then definitely go and check that out, because this location was a very, very cool location. And this was the very first annual event that they had there. The benefit of the event, or the funds that were raised during the event, they went to support the Haygood Mill. They also went to support Sacred Mountain Retreat, which helps all of our veterans of the different military branches. Brandon Cooper, he was on a few weeks ago, and he talked about that great charity. And so we love supporting our events, and so we definitely, or we love supporting our veterans. And so that was really an honor to be able to speak at this event and to be able to share what we do with Ghost Biker, the historic Scott County Jail, and to also be able to support these two great causes. And so if you've not been to this location before, you really need to check it out, because it's a lot of different homesteads that are there. Some of them have been relocated. Some of them are natural there to the actual land, which would be the mill that's there. Go check out some of the different pictures that we've got here in the album, because I tried to highlight a lot of the different spots there. Um, Probably my favorite part was the petroglyphs that's located in this building, and they've done a really cool job of going in and protecting those, but also sharing the story and talking about them. The folks that volunteer at the site, they're very knowledgeable about these petroglyphs. And so, again, it's just something to be in the presence of it and to be able to stand there by those rock carvings was something that was really cool, and you could really feel the vibe and the vibrations that was coming off of those actual stone carvings. So, like I said, it was a great event. It was 3 days, 2 paranormal investigations, lots of speakers, lots of great vendors. Um, it was just a great weekend. It was definitely a success. Got to meet a lot of folks that never met before. I like to say they live in my phone. I knew them through Facebook, and so it was nice to be able to meet these folks in person. So definitely go check out the live we did. Check out the video. Going to try to put out a video from the entire weekend here once I get settled, and then also the photos that we've got in there. We're about to also announce our events that we've got coming up for April at the historic Scott County Jail. There's going to be lots of flashlight tours, guided ghost hunts, and then also if you like motorcycles, then you're going to definitely want to check out. We're kicking off the 2023 biking season with a blessing of the bikes that's going to take place on April 15th at the historic Scott County Jail. We're going to have a food truck. Dean's Pit Stop is going to be there. We're also going to have the Christian Motorcyclists Association that's going to be there, and they're going to be doing the bike blessing. It's going to take place from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and I'm pulling that up here. We've got information about that all over the historic Scott County Jail website. We're also going to put that on the Ghost Biker Explorations page. We've got flyers all around town. We've also got this plastered all over different websites. So come out, check it out, get some food, get your bike blessed, come take a tour of the historic Scott County Jail, get you a free commemorative sticker with your museum ticket purchase, and just come and hang out with us. It's going to be a fun day. We did this last year. This is the second annual. So, it was great last year, but we're really excited about being able to carry this and expand it a little bit more into this second year. Also, speaking of great events that are going on during the month of April, we've definitely got to talk about Enigma Cons that's going to be taking place Saturday, April 22nd at the none other than the amazing St. Albans Sanatorium. And we've got several folks on here. Mr. Ronnie Anderson, who is with Bedford Paranormal, who are the hosts who are putting this event on. And they put on a heck of an event. If you've not been to one of Enigma Cons, you need to check it out this year. And you need to come specifically this year because this is the very last year that they're going to be doing this event. So come and meet some of these wonderful vendors that put their heart and soul into their product, as well as some of the speakers that's going to be speaking. I'm going to scroll down the page here. They do have the event highlights and then also the event schedule. They've got an escape room. Last year was the first year of the escape room. I know that Alan May did a fantastic job of putting these on. I am always in awe of people who can come up with the puzzles for these escape rooms. My business partner is amazing when it comes to that with our escape room at the jail. And so, you know, Alan has done a fantastic job with this, and I can't wait to see how he's changed it up for this year. And so they've got the times on there where you can come in and you can do the escape room. You can come in, you can check out the vendors, and then also these speakers. It looks like I'm going to be speaking from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. That is Eastern time at the Grand Staircase. And so I know they've got two different locations where people will be speaking. I'll be at the Grand Staircase, and then the other will be in the connector hallway, which looks like I'm speaking opposite of Mr. Alan Marston. So, so we've got the list there of everyone that will be speaking on this page. And I'm going to go ahead and just put the link here in the comments. That way we can pull that up. You guys can have easy access to that because, like I said, it takes a lot to put these events on. And this, Bedford Paranormal does an amazing job. Like I said, we've got a few people in here. We've also got Miss Angie, the beautiful Miss Angie, who has done an amazing job with this Paracon as well. Hello to Dennis. Hello to Jim Cody. Carl, thank you all so much for taking the time to tune in tonight. And if anyone has a question for tonight's guest, please feel free to put those over there in the comments. Put them in all caps so that I don't miss your question, and we'll make sure that we get to it. But before I wrap up talking about Enigma Cons, I just want to make sure. I think they've still got just a few tickets left. I know that tickets typically sell out really quick for this event, and so the links and everything to purchase tickets are over there, are over here on the website. If any of the folks from Bedford Paranormal, if there's a link to the tickets, if you want to put that in the comments section, we will throw that up there on the screen. That way people will have easy access to it. If they're going back and watching the show, it will also pull it up as a top comment whenever somebody is going back and watching later on. So anyways, I am going to go ahead and bring on tonight's guest because, like I said, I know that we're going to have a great conversation as well as probably a lot of different questions. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce her, Miss Lori Yaney. She has been writing fiction and nonfiction stories as well as poetry since she was very young. Her books are metaphysical, paranormal, and supernatural, and her children's books are stories that she has written for her own grandchildren or a friend's son, which neither of them are paranormal or supernatural. I've been looking through her catalog of books, and she does have an amazing variety, which we will pull those up and talk about those in a little bit. But Lori is also a medium and empath, a healer, a crystal healer, and is the creator and lead administrator, along with a wonderful group of other intuitive mediums and psychics on Facebook, which their group is called Earth Angels Mediumship Group, as well as an approved reader for intuitive medium David Neil Hansel's The Spirit Experience. She's retired from law enforcement after 30 years of service, and she now owns a crystal shop in Salina, Ohio, called Celestial Crystal Creations. So we're going to be talking about all of this as well as her books during the next hour. So, like I said, if you have any questions, please put those in the comments there. But if you will help me welcome Miss Lori Yaney. Hello.
Hello. Thank you
Thank
for having me. Such an honor.
abs- Absolutely. I'm thrilled that you were able to take the time to come on and talk with us about your books as well as your metaphysical shop and all the different things that you've got going on.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's such an honor. It truly is. I appreciate this opportunity very much.
Absolutely. Well, I know we've got a wonderful mutual friend, Miss Pat O'Keefe, who she and the Connor sisters, Misty Connor specifically, was on my show, and that's how you and I ended up meeting. And of course, Miss Pat and Misty are all going to be joining us at Enigma Cons, and she just had such wonderful things to say about you, and so it's wonderful to finally be able to sit down and chat with you.
Yes, I just love Pat to pieces. And actually, um, it was my guide that led me to her. So
Okay.
I can tell you the story behind that if you want to hear it.
Yes, please, please.
Okay. Well, I've always journaled, and I started having these dreams in 2016 consecutively every night. And the same man would take me to the same place and he would tell me these stories, and I would have no idea what he was talking about. And I'd wake up, I'd write everything down. And anyhow, a few years later, out of the blue, I win tickets to a paranormal convention at the haunted post town school. here in Ohio.
Great place.
And yes, it was pretty cool. And it is very haunted. Um, I convinced a childhood friend to go with me who had no idea that I was gifted because I've always kind of hidden that kind of stuff from my friends. And anyhow, long story short, I was led to the basement where some of the vendors were. And as I got down the steps and went to the left where I was drawn, there was a table, but it was empty. And there was a lady sitting at the table next to it who happened to be Rhonda Caudell. And she probably thought I was a crazy lady because I'm like, where's this person at? I really need to talk to this person. And I'm pointing at this empty table. And she starts laughing. She goes, oh, she's behind you talking to those people. And I turn around. And when I turn around, she's walking towards me. And she introduces herself, Pat O'Keefe. And as we shook hands, we shocked each other. And
Oh,
she's like,
wow.
you need to sit down because I need to talk to you. So we sat down. It was funny because, again, my friend that was with me had no idea anything about me. And we're sitting there, and Pat starts describing the guy that I had been dreaming about, like to a T. And I had never told anybody about him, nobody. And anyhow, so like she told me I had a really good poker face. But she introduced me or told me who he was, and she told me what name he gave her and who he was, and what he had been telling me was about our past lives together,
Okay.
and which made sense because there would be times he would show up dressed in like Viking garb with the
Okay.
helmet, the shield, the big broadsword.
Hmm.
Other times, like one time he had on a World War I uniform.
Hmm.
Another time he was just jeans and a t-shirt, you know. So, but he had been telling me about our past lives. So, if it was not for him introducing me to one of the best people in the world, Pat O'Keefe, um, my award-winning reincarnation series would not have come to fruition. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Well, and
I have stayed so close since then.
well, she is just, I just can't say enough about her. I mean, just such a kind soul and wonderful to talk to. I can understand why you guys have such a great connection.
Oh yeah, she's such a wonderful person.
So
And
oh, go ahead.
she actually designed my first and second professional book cover and it was
Ah,
with this series. So
the, the, uh, the,
yeah.
se- yeah. So we will get into talking about these here in just a few minutes, but I'm very interested. You'd mentioned that you hid your special gifts that you have. Um, is this something that you've had since childhood, and was your family accepting of it, or did you keep that hidden from everybody?
Well, I learned from a young age, like really young age, that not everybody could see angels or see people like that I could see or animals that I could see that they couldn't. And um, it really caused a lot of issues. So, along with my other gifts, I learned to just keep stuff to myself. And, my mom's philosophy was children should be seen and not heard. So, yeah.
I understand. And that tends to be kind of a common response that a lot of people talk about, that that especially that have experienced it since they were children, they didn't talk about it because they were either ridiculed or, it did cause issues. I've only met just a very few people who the people around them embraced it and that they worked with it from young. Are you finding now, whenever you sort of, I guess, came out around your friend that was there, have you found that people have been more accepting and open to it now?
Some have and some not. But yeah, um, as Pat was talking, my friend, I had to like pick her jaw up off the table. She's like, and then afterwards, she's like, I had no idea. And I'm like, I know. But yeah, I mean, I'm to the point where, I was put here to help people, heal people, and I need to use my gifts. So I'm not
Mhm.
hiding. I've come out of the closet, so to speak, and you know, I'm not hiding my gifts anymore.
Well, one thing that kind of stuck out to me is, your law enforcement background. And, first of all, thank you for your service. I know that that is such a thankless job, that people do. So thank you for that. Did you find that you used any of your gifts while you were in law enforcement?
Oh yeah, intuition was a big help, and the people that know me now are, like, how could you do what you did for over 30 years and being an empath, and but you learned at the beginning I learned that I had to separate myself because if you lose your crap, you're not going to be helpful to anybody.
Hmm.
People that are on the phone, the officers you're dispatching, law enforcement, EMS, whatever.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. I can see where to me, that really adds a lot of credibility to the things that you say being in the field that you were in, but I feel like also that those gifts could also be something that would be very useful in that
mhm,
field, just because there is so much that you have to go on that you can't always see with the natural eyes.
mhm. And um, another thing that the officers would always tell me was, you know, they could never tell how bad a situation was because my voice was always the same, same level. And they really appreciated that. And so, but it also is helpful too in talking people down.
Hmm.
Like you get a suicide caller or somebody, that's going off on a rampage. It helped to calm them down.
Absolutely. And I know from reading your bio, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull up uh, your Amazon page here. I know from reading your bio that several of your books come from stories that you experienced while you were working in law enforcement.
hmm Yeah, I actually have a supernatural law enforcement series. There are 4 books. I still have the storyboard for it too because I've really been kicking around writing another book for it.
Hmm.
But the first 2 books are actually the first 2 stories are in one book, and that's Lieutenant Jake Dillon and Life Goes On.
Okay.
And I am like a huge, huge fan of the old monster movies. Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi. So, um, being the weird person that I am, I can't have just humans. So Lieutenant Jake's a vampire. So there's vampires, there's werewolves, there's dragons, there's all kinds of creatures. But the first 2 book series, or the first 2 stories again, are in the one book. It's Lieutenant
Okay.
Jake and Life Goes On. And
Okay.
then the third book in the series is called Heartland because
Okay.
the the stories actually take place in a made up Ohio city. So that's why it's called Heartland because Ohio is kind of shaped like a heart.
Okay.
And then the last
Yeah.
book is called In the Dark.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, we're gonna
I'm really
put,
proud of this, so
what was that?
I said I'm really proud of this series. A lot of the incidents that occurred throughout my career are in it, and a
Mhm.
few made up ones as well.
That's really cool when you can what better source than to be able to draw from what you know and what you
Mhm.
experience on a daily basis. And then to add that little supernatural twist to it. That's extremely cool. You should definitely be proud of that. I know on the books because I've got your Eternal Love series here and I had just started on them before I started moving earlier this month and they're very easy to read. That's what I like about that is it just seems to as soon as you start, it just seems to flow.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we're putting the link up here to to Miss Lori's Amazon page here. Um, so let's talk. Have you always been interested in writing?
Oh yeah, I've always written. Even when I was little, I would write, little stories or write poems, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
Okay. And looks like we have a question here from Mr. Steve White. He said, "Good evening. Question: as being part of the law enforcement, if you were to have a paranormal encounter, is that something you keep under your belt, or do you discuss that with others?"
actually, that did happen several times, and I did discuss it with others. Um, and I had other officers come in and tell me about odd things that happened to them on a call too. So it just it helps. It helps to talk about things, and you know, I, people to think I'm crazy. Maybe I don't know. I don't really care, but there's a lot of us that are really into the paranormal. So law
I,
enforcement included.
Absolutely. I just have to say, being the co-owner there of the historic Scott County Jail, we had officers and still have officers that come in and one, they talk about the experiences that they experienced there. And so to us, being a sworn law enforcement official coming in, sharing these stories, it adds that credibility to those stories. And then also, we've had so many that come in and they're like, "Oh yeah, that place is so creepy." We have experiences, or we would go during our break time and we would ghost hunt back there behind the jail. So it's always interesting, and we've that's been at least out of our local community. The law enforcement officials are the ones that have been the most supportive of everything that we've been doing there.
Yeah, cops see a lot of stuff, not just cops, but other law enforcement too. And I used to one of the jails that I worked at, which they've tore the building down, was really haunted. And there was a elevator that would go to the basement, and that thing was constantly the doors opening and closing by themselves, going up and down. You'd hear footsteps. The inmates down there would holler, help, there's somebody down here. Like, no, there's not. You're okay. So,
We had would have the same thing. The elevator would go on its own. We had a law enforcement official who was in there that she was riding the elevator and something coughed in her ear, and so she quit riding it. And footsteps are crazy inside there.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually retired out of a state patrol post, and
Okay.
it was a fairly new post, but they used some of the bricks from the old building, and the old building was haunted, and it would be nothing to be there at night by yourself and hear somebody walking up and down the hall or walk into the dispatch room or you know
Yep,
hear
I can.
noises, hear somebody there.
Did you all have resident spirits that you kind of knew who they were?
Yeah, yeah. One of them was the one was definitely a trooper that had passed away.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. That's really cool. So again, we've got Virgil here from Manchester, England, and
oh wow.
thank you so much for tuning in from across the pond. There, we are broadcasting live on Parapost 2, which is an international post that's posting there to our friends over in Europe. So, hello to anyone there that's watching from here. Um, so let's talk about your Eternal Love series. This is this is fascinating, and um, it's a reincarnation
Mhm.
series, correct?
Correct. Yep. And these are actually the stories my guide was telling me. There's
Okay.
were 7 lives in particular that he wanted in 3 books. But the first book, um, as I'm writing it, putting it together, I have a dream, and one of my other guides came to me. And the best way to describe him is he kind of looks like Charlie Chaplin,
Okay.
with the black suit and the little mustache and the bowler hat. Um, and he told me, he says, take your time, do your research on the stuff you're not sure of, because the time on our side is different, and Goff may have gotten some of it mixed up. So he said, take your time and write this series. Do him some justice. And so, anyhow, well, it took me like over a year to get the first book, what I thought was done. So I
Hmm.
went ahead and I published it. But this book takes place at the end of the Dark Ages, around 1000 AD,
Okay.
and it um, starts off in England and ends up in Scotland.
Okay.
And again, I thought I had it ready. Then all of a sudden, the dreams come back because he stopped coming to me in my dreams for a while, which was really frustrating. And I had this dream, and I'm standing at the edge of a cliff, and I know I'm in Scotland,
Okay.
and I'm looking out over the ocean, and I have on this beautiful green dress. And he walks up behind me and puts his arms around me, kisses me on the temple, and then he smiles and he backs away from me. And I kind of look back at him, and as I do, like the most beautiful set of wings open up on my back. I mean, they were absolutely gorgeous. And he nods, and I wake up because another weird thing about me, I don't have nightmares, because if I start to have a nightmare, I wake myself up.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyhow, like I was so confused because I knew that it had something to do with this book, but
Hmm.
I didn't know what. And then out of the blue, Pat gets a hold of me, and she's like, Golf got a hold of me, and he wants me to tell you that you jumped the gun, and you were seeing the ending of your life for
Wow.
this book here. So
Okay.
we talked, and so anyhow, the ending of that life is the beginning of this book. And then
Okay.
this is the second book, which is the first cover that Pat made me for my first
Okay.
professional cover. Um, so it touches base on some of the other stories,
Hmm.
and I actually like it took me there's probably a couple years in between
Hmm.
that they got published. But I actually started working on the third book when I was working on the first book, because the book was
Okay.
this thick. But I was really, really struggling on it. But yeah, that Pat made that beautiful cover too.
That is
And
fantastic.
My guide
Such a
came
wonderful
to me.
photographer.
Yes, she is. And um, that's actually like the Blue Ridge Mountains in the background there. So it kind of looks like Scotland. So and then um, try not to break down here. I have a Great Dane, and his name is Sergeant. He passed away in the beginning of November.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
thank you. Pat put him on the cover. So that's him. He's there guarding me. Um, but anyhow, I was getting back to the story. I get sidetracked easy.
That's okay. We got to talk about our fur babies. They're so
Oh
important.
yes, 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 yes. I have one left, but Sarge was my boy. Um, but I was really struggling on this book because it's really hard for me to talk about myself and about things that had happened. And so Goff came to me and he told me to write it as second person. And once I did that, bam, it just flowed. And next thing I know, it's like almost 700 pages. And Pat and I are talking, and she's like, "Lori, you got to cut it down to 500 pages." So I took a lot out, but yeah. So
I was
this is the biggest single story book I've ever written in my life.
I was wondering if there was a significance to this one being so much thicker than the others, if it was um just I guess a lot more information being the third, um or exactly what the thought behind it, because um I mean it's a it, it's a great trilogy as far as, you know, from start to finish. And I love, like I said, I have not had the opportunity to complete it, but I love the way that it transitions through the different lives and through the different locations. It's very well written.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I'm extremely proud of this series, and I have been told by my guides, and I've been told by other uh, psychics that this book is really going to help a lot of people, because they'll know that it's okay to have these gifts. You know, these are gifts given to you by the divine, and there's nothing wrong with them, with you having them. And you know, you were given them for a reason. You need to use them. So
That's right. And these are award-winning books, correct?
yes, yep. People's
W-
Choice Awards. Yeah,
Wonderful. Congratulations on that.
thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull up the page again where you guys can check out Miss Lori's books. I mean, she's got a lot of different ones here to choose from. And oops, let me go to the page there so I can scroll. And you can go in there and find her books. And I guarantee once you read one of them, you're going to want to pick up the others. And you've also another one that oh, you sent me here is An Angel Named Jenny.
Yes,
This was
that's actually my bestseller to date, and
okay.
it's
I was going to say again a very very easy read, and
mhm.
this one this one was emotional,
It was my
very emotional.
therapy book, basically. Yeah, and that on the cover is my oldest granddaughter. She's a twin, and my boy sergeant's with her. Um, they were 6 months apart, and from day one, those two were like tight. And I had so many beautiful pictures of him. And since he was a character in the story, I asked son and daughter-in-law if I could use that picture, and
Mhm.
they gave me permission. So
Well, that
I
was
mean, Jenny in the story is a little bit older, but yeah.
well, I know this was the first one that I was able to pick up and read, and again, it was a very quick read, but it was very emotional, and I can totally understand why this was a therapy book for you. And congratulations on it being a bestseller because it is a wonderful
Thank you.
book.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's kind of shift gears just a little bit and talk about your metaphysical shop, your crystal shop that you have there, and tell us if you have any interesting activity associated with it.
Actually, it's very haunted. Um, you know, constantly hearing noises, bangings, knockings, walking. There's actually a portal on the other side of the one wall, and the portal has been there for a very, very long time. But I had a gentleman come in from a newspaper to do an interview, and um, like sometimes I'll do videos showing people, like I have these different apps on my phone, and I'll ask questions, and then they'll answer me. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
intelligent answering. And I know they're there, but they constantly move my crystals around. Um, I have these little baby Groots that have amethyst on top of his head. They'll
Yes.
be on a different shelf, and they'll be laying down like they're taking a nap. It's it's kind of funny. Um, I was told the spirit that does that's name is Dawson. I do not know for sure how old Dawson is, but I do know there are many there, and they come and go. There is an old healer lady. She kind of reminds me of a gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that takes care of the portal, and she guards it, making sure that nothing dark or bad comes in. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's very interesting. So you've had paranormal investigators and stuff
Hmm.
check out the location.
Yep. He brought in a digital recorder. I haven't had a chance to find out if he caught anything on that, but the REM pod, um, again, intelligent responses. He had these little cat ball looking toys that if
Mm-hmm.
you hit them, they would light up. And he had this, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a string of lights. The lights are about this
Yeah, the
big and about that.
tripwire.
Yeah. And I would ask a question and say, if you're so and so, you know, touch these lights and make them go off. And man, there was a light show going off like crazy. It was kind of neat. But
Oh, very interesting.
yeah, that's happened. He's come in a couple of times now, and then he had a EMF detector, and there was a blob of energy, like it was going all around different places in the room, and he was just following it around. So we'd
Wow.
ask questions and have it touch the REM pod, and the pod would go off. So
Oh, that's fascinating. Do you ever allow other investigators and stuff to investigate that, or is that just sort of like with people that a team that you know and trust?
well, he's the only one that's ever approached me.
Okay.
So, but my room that my shop is in is not very big. It's only like 11
Uh,
foot by 17, so it's
okay.
tiny. So,
Gotcha.
I'm trying to manifest more customers so I can get a bigger place.
There you go.
But I
Now,
thank the for taking care of the stuff. They keep an eye on my crystals, so I thank them.
absolutely. Can you buy your books at your shop, or is that online only?
I do have them at my shop as well, but I do have some books that are just Kindle or Kindle Bella stories.
Hmm.
Um, you can get them either there's books at my shop or you can buy them off of Amazon.
Okay. And I kind of want to jump back a little bit when you were talking about dreams, because I know we've had several different folks on here that are have talked about dream interpretation and talked about dreams. And that's always been something that's been fascinating to me, as well as to other folks that are in the audience. Have you always had vivid dreams and received messages through your dreams?
Yep, always. And they're all have always been in color. They've always been vivid and always in color.
Okay. Wow, good on you for paying attention to that. And I guess since you've always done it, you've always really, I guess, learned to interpret what they mean. Do they tend to be straight up messages, or are they sometimes kind of cryptic that you have to take time to interpret?
Most of the time they're cryptic, and it's really weird because there'll be times when like something from the past, a past life, will come into the dream, but it will be like now. Just for example, um, I had this dream. I was at this place with a bunch of people that I knew, who I have no idea who they were. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in the dream I did. And this guy comes in, and do you remember what the preacher guy from the Salem looked like when during the witch trials?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
the black cape and the big white collar and the big hat.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
guy walks in to this place looking just like that, and he's holding a picture, and it has on or holding a paper, and on this paper are pictures of my reincarnation series books, and he
Oh.
holds them up, and then really loud he yells and points at me. He goes, "You're a witch and you're gonna burn." And then he turns around and he walks out, and I'm like, whoa, that was fun. And then somebody else is like, in the dream, they're going, "Is that true?" Whatever. But it's just like, things like that, because a lot of my past lives took place over in Scotland or in England. So,
Okay. And
and
do you do past life readings and such?
no, I don't.
You don't.
But if I'm giving somebody a reading and somebody comes through from a past life, I give them that information. So, but
Gotcha.
to actually do a past life, no, I don't do those.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that it's always interesting when, because sometimes people don't realize just the different types of mediumship that are
Hmm.
out there, and it's not a one size fits all type situation where people
Right.
specialize in different things. So it's very interesting, to talk about that. And I definitely would love to have you come back on and talk about more about your spiritual gifts, as well as have you come back and talk about, or have you come on to the Jailhouse podcast and talk about your supernatural true crime series.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love that.
Yeah, well, we will definitely have to have you on to that. Um, why don't you go ahead and plug where people can find more information about you? We've been pulling it up as we go throughout, but talk about that in any events or anything that you've got coming up that you would like to spotlight.
Well, I don't have any events yet. Um, I would love to be involved in some kind of paranormal convention,
Mhm.
but I'm an indie author, so I have no agent and I don't have a publisher, um, because I guess people don't like paranormal books. They'd rather have the mushy love stories. And out of all the genres that I write, that's not one of them. So, but Um, so yeah, I pretty much do it all by myself. So
It's challenging to self-publish,
it,
that's, kudos to you for doing that because I know that that's something difficult, but from what I've heard other people talk about, that's kind of the way to go.
yeah, I've been hearing more and more of that. So,
Mhm.
but um, and I draw inspiration for my stories through many different means. Um, it could be a picture, it could be a dream, could just pop into my head. So, but I have a book called Paranormal Tales that Dalen Spratt from Ghost Brothers has, and he was actually at that same paranormal convention. And
Okay.
if I can show it, he had
Absolutely.
he had my friend take a picture of him holding the book, and he said, "You're going to be famous someday. I want you to use this picture." So there it is. If you
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then he wrote, "To Lori, thank you for the book. Straight ghosting." But
That's
that's
cool. Those guys are fantastic.
yeah,
Just
he was
very
so
nice.
funny.
Yeah, and so if folks want to find out more about you, they can follow, and we do have this in the show notes. Is the best place to follow you on your author Lori Yaney page?
Yeah. I have, that page, my author page, my shop, my crystal shop, Celestial Crystal Creations is on Facebook. Um, or they can follow me on Amazon. Um, but yeah, for right now, until things pick up and I can get me a website going,
Hmm.
those would be the places for right now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, like I said, congratulations on your Reader's Choice Awards. That's a huge deal, and I love seeing other content creators getting awards and getting recognized for their hard work because there's a lot of heart and soul that goes into these books and podcasts and videos and stuff that people create. So,
Hmm.
congratulations on that, and guys, definitely go check out Miss Lori Yaney's Facebook page under author Lori Yaney. I'm going to go ahead right quick and I'm going to make sure to put that. Like I said, all this is in the show notes, but I want to go ahead and make sure to put that out here. And it looks like we may be having some issues with our broadcast on YouTube. So I'm going to go back and check that because it looks like it's just showing on Facebook and Parapost International right now. But we will definitely go back, check that, and make sure that it is up on the YouTube page. And then also, this will rebroadcast on Saturday night on my network TV. So if you're listening to this, go check out Miss Lori Yaney's pages. Check out her books because she has such a huge variety, and I guarantee she's got something for any interest that you have, especially if it's in the paranormal genre or the true crime and like you said, fiction and nonfiction alike. You also do
Hmm.
you do coloring books, right? And draw.
Well, I just do it for the family, but yeah, I've
Okay.
made coloring books for the grandkids, but yeah. And the last children's book that I published, I'm pretty good friends with my buddy Scott Porter, and
Mm-hmm.
I wrote some of the stories for his son, and he asked me if I'd put them in there, so that's what I did. So I
Very
write
nice.
all kinds of different stories, just not love stories.
And do you have any books coming out that you've got in the works that we can be looking forward to?
Actually, I've got 5 books I'm working on. They're different genres, and I am also working on one of my books that I put out several years ago. Is called The Paranormal Girls, and I'm writing a second one for that, but I'm publishing it as the Kindle Vella instead of a book.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're getting close here to the top of the hour, so I want to really thank you so much, Miss Lori, for taking the time to come on tonight and share some of your stories and share about your books. Um, definitely. As far as your store, when are you open?
well, right now I'm only open Wednesdays through Saturdays.
Okay.
So,
Okay, great. And so we've got, like I said, check out the Celestial Crystal Creation Shop. We've got the website, or excuse me, the Facebook page there. It does have the phone number and such on that. If you go and check that out and want to get in touch with Miss Lori. Again, thank you so much. Thank you to the folks in the chat room for your questions. If you've got any last minute questions for Miss Lori in the next few minutes as we're wrapping things up, please feel free to put those there in the comments and we'll make sure to get those on. But otherwise, thank you all so much. And definitely go and check out Enigma Cons. We've got that coming up. Some of the people that we spoke about on tonight's show are going to be there and they're going to be lecturing. And they've also got their booth set up. Miss Pat O'Keefe, Miss Misty Connor, and the Connor sisters. Definitely, definitely want to come by and see them because they if you've not heard them speak, if you missed the earlier podcast at the start of the month where they were on here, definitely want to go and check that out. And like I said, I think there are still some tickets available there for Enigma Cons that they have on there. Also, a few other things that are coming up here throughout the year. I know I'm going to be speaking at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, which is going to take place in July 14th, 15th, and 16th, with so many other paranormal investigators that are up there. Definitely, that's if you're going to hit a Paracon, that is a Paracon that want to check out as well in beautiful Gettysburg. And also the funds for that goes to the Wounded Warrior Foundation. And then in August, I'm going to be in Southern Alabama at the Deep South Paracon. This is going to be their second annual. This was so much fun last year. It's a Paracomic-Con, so it's a variety of paranormal, horror, comic books, a lot of really cool things. It's got something for everyone. And it looks like Ronnie says there are 4 tickets left to EnigmaCon. So, um, those may not stick around very long. So definitely get in on that if you'd like to be involved because get a group of friends together and come and do that and do the investigation.
mhm.
And then also, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. September is going to be really big. I'm going to have some announcements coming about that really, really soon. I'm going to be working with Brandon Cooper, Horn Paranormal, and a Sacred Mountain Retreat. And we've got a big announcement about a big event that's going to be taking place in Deadwood, South Dakota. So,
Mm.
no better place to be going than to the motorcycle mecca there in Deadwood and Sturgis. And you want to talk about a haunting experience. We're really looking forward to that. And I'm very honored to be able to be a part of this event. So we're going to have a little more information about that coming up as soon as I can get more information worked out with Brandon as well as Sacred Mountain Retreats. And again, the funds are going to go to our veterans there with Sacred Mountain. And then also Ghost Biker Explorations is having our own event in October 14th, 15th, and 16th. It's going to be in London, Kentucky. It's going to be with Wildcat Harley Davidson. All the funds from this is going to be going to the Shop with a Cop program. It's going to be a paranormal investigation as well as a haunted motorcycle ride and then a meet and greet at the Harley Davidson. So we'll have more information about that. I know a lot of folks did the ride last year, really enjoyed it. And of course, it's coming back this year. It's going to be a free ride. And that ride we're limiting the number to, I think, 15, maybe 20 bikes, and those spots fill up for that as well. And so London, Kentucky is just a beautiful area and a beautiful area to ride. So a lot of events coming up that we're going to have listed. So hopefully, yeah, you guys will be able to check that out. Come say hello to me. Come support some great causes, and maybe pick up some Ghost Biker merchandise along the way, because that's how we fund the web series. And also just got to mention, did film this past week. Today's Thursday. I filmed on Tuesday night in Kentucky at an undisclosed location, filmed for season 6. Already started going through some of the evidence, and I gotta say, this location, it's only been investigated by one other team, has a great history, and already caught some really interesting things that I can't wait to share with you guys. So we'll be putting more stuff about that as we lead up to season 6. It's going to come out here in October. So again, gonna wrap things up from the very last Ghost Biker Garage here at the original Ghost Biker Garage, and so we'll be coming to you next week from a from a new location, probably the historic Scott County Jail, like I said. And the guest is going to be, I want to make sure I get this right. Next week's guest is going to be Greg Backham. And so we're excited to have him on. He's going to be on April 6th. On April 13th, we're going to have Michael Wong from Spokane, Washington. Love getting some of our folks from out on the West Coast. We don't have nearly enough of those here on the show. And then on April 20th, we're going to have Mr. Chuck Sutherland from Michigan, and we're going to be talking about Bigfoot and cryptids. And then on April 27th, which happens to be my birthday, we're going to have a very special guest coming back, Mr. Jake Fife. He's been on the show, and he's going to be talking about, he actually works for the news station there in Virginia, and he's been working on a special assignment that he's giving us a special exclusive with. So we're very excited to be able to highlight that on the show as well. So a lot of great things coming up here in April that I can't wait to share with you all. So until then, I hope everyone... Yes, ma'am.
I just want to give Pat O'Keefe a big shout out and a huge thank you, and let her know that I love her very much.
Well, Pat, hopefully she will be able to catch the replay of this and hear your special message. And like I said, we're looking forward to seeing Pat here in a few weeks at EnigmaCon. So hopefully we'll see you here soon as well, Miss Lori Yaney, be able to meet you in person.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Very much so. And you said your birthday's the 22nd?
27th.
27th. Mine's April 24th.
Nice. Another Taurus.
Yeah, first deacon, both of us.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's I can't think of a better time. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed week, and we will see you next Thursday night if I don't see you before. And take care.
Thank you.